So this is the second time I'm actually having to record this video because for whatever reason, my audio got garbled after I recorded it, and I'm like, I'm glad I'm redoing this review before I have to ship this back. And as you can see, this is none other than the Lenovo Legion Go S. Now, you guys know how much I love the original Lenovo Legion Go, even though it had a lot of issues, and yes, Legion space is still, well, basura, but nonetheless, it was one of my favorite devices to use because of the screen, the battery life, the Joy Cons. Even though it's a little heavy, I mean, I lift, so the weight didn't bother me. Nonetheless, when I got word that this was going to be coming out, which was towards the beginning of this year, I was like, man, I got to get my hands on this because this definitely looks like something I would love to, make content on and honestly even own. Now, I don't own this one. Like I said, I was sent this one by Lenovo, so shout out to them for sending this over to me. But this comes in two different flavors. This has a Windows 11 version as well as a SteamOS version, and one of them is the one you should be getting, and the other one is the one you should probably wait for a deep sale, or if you don't mind some of the shortcomings it's going to give you, then it's fine to go with it. Okay, TLDR, the SteamOS version is the definitive SteamOS handheld that you should honestly pick up and purchase. And there's like, between this or the SteamOS version of this and the the Steam Deck, yeah, get the SteamOS version of this. Now, if you're looking at the Windows version, no, not really. I wouldn't highly recommend that. But all that being said, with this video, we're going to be diving into this, and if you want to pick it up, it's going to pop up on the screen somewhere. But before we do, let me go ahead and go over the technical specs at the beginning of the video, because a lot of people are going to want to know that. I know a lot of people may just tune out, but it is what it is. Let me go ahead and talk to you guys about the technical specs of this. So when it comes to the technical specs of the Lenovo Legion Go S, it's got an AMD Ryzen Z2 Go processor, a 3.0 gigahertz up to 4.3 gigahertz. The operating system is either Windows 11 Home 64 or Steam OS. It also has integrated AMD Radeon graphics. It has 32 gigabytes of LPDDR5X RAM, which is soldered on, along with 1 terabyte SSD M.2 2242 PCIe Gen 4 TLC. Now the display is an 8-inch WUXGA, which is a 1920 by 1200 IPS touchscreen with 120 Hz refresh rate and 500 nits brightness. It also features a native landscape format. It's got 100% sRGB color gambit and variable refresh rate, or VRR. Now when it comes to connectivity, it has Wi-Fi 6E, 2x2 AX, and Bluetooth 5.3. Now, the battery life on this is 55.5 watt hours with Rapid Charge Pro support for quick charging, so you can top up to a full charge within about roughly 45 minutes to an hour, or half a battery life within 15 to 20 minutes or so. Alright, so now that we got all the technical details out of the way, which to me personally is the most boring aspect of it, and I guess it's just because I review so much tech, I'm just like, oh, the numbers, the tech specs and all this. The thing I like to really touch on is, how does the experience feel? Now, I just think that's the most important thing. Now, this right here to me is honestly the most comfortable gaming handheld that I've used. When it comes to any of the handheld gaming PCs or even the Nintendo Switch, I honestly feel that this is the most comfortable one to hold in your hand, especially for extended amount of time. Now, everything just feels so good. The back triggers on it, the bumpers, they feel great. The analog sticks, which have Hall effect sensors in them, feel great. The D-pad, oh my god, I could gush about the D-pad. You guys know I love playing fighting games, and this is honestly the best D-pad I've used on a handheld gaming PC, or even on Nintendo Switch as a comparison. I know it's not really one-to-one comparable, but nonetheless it's in the same handheld gaming market. So this D-pad is just the absolute best that I personally use. Now keep in mind that I have personally used. I haven't used every handheld gaming PC that's on the market, But for me, this right here, from everything I've used, from the MSI Claw, the ROG Ally, the Steam Deck, as well as the original Legion Go, this is the best one that I've used. Now, the screen, oh my goodness, the screen on this, while it's not as brilliant as the original Lenovo Legion Go, it is still an amazing screen nonetheless. Like I said, it's WUXGA, so 1920 by 1200 resolution with 500 nits of brightness, which means that literally anything you're going to be playing on it is going to be looking really, really good. I play a lot of fighting games, and one of the most brilliant looking fighting games I play is none other than Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, and the colors on it, especially because it's got like that comic book aesthetic with like the black ink outlines and whatnot. Everything in that game just pops on this beautiful screen. I absolutely love it. And because, again, I got to go back to the D-pad. I'm sorry. Actually, no, I'm not sorry. Fuck you. I'm not sorry. The D-pad is so good on this that when I have to do pretzel inputs, because if you play any fighting game from SNK, there's going to be called pretzel inputs, which is quarter circle forward, quarter circle back, or half circle back. You know, any of these varied inputs, this is able to execute flawlessly 100% of the time. I've never had an issue pulling off any type of combo, especially if I play KOF 15, KOF 2002, unlimited match, or 98, or even 13. If I play Kyo in those games and I have to do my Rekka punches, which is a bunch of chain, command inputs and button presses to do different types of his Chinese Kempo boxing, then yeah, this lets me pull it off 100% of the time. Now, the other thing I want to touch on too is the placement of the buttons, which I personally feel is way, way, way better than what it was on the original Lenovo Legion Go. Because originally Lenovo Legion Go, you had your Legion space as well as your quick settings on the top, left and right, and then you had your menu and option buttons down here. I always want to say select and start, just because like I grew up in the the NES and Super Nintendo era, so like that's always what that was. And in my head, every time I pick up a controller, that's the first thing I think of, is select and start. But I know it's options and menu, right? So bear with me. So in the original Legion Go, it was always at the bottom left hand side, like for the menu and options. I hated that. I thought that was really just ridiculous being there. So I actually ended up rearranging the Legion space button, I think that's what it's called, Legion space button, and the quick options menu to being menu and options. And then I set the menu and options buttons to be Legion space and quick settings down here. But with how they have it set up, it is really, really easy to get access to that, and honestly, I find it, maybe some people might, forget what does what, right? And accidentally press Legion space over pressing menu or options or anything like that. But to me, it's a minor thing. It's nothing to really lose sleep over. I absolutely love the placement. It's just so much better. Like, they literally went to the R&D and they're like, okay, we know what we need to work on to improve, and thus they went and fixed that. So absolutely love it. Now, I never had an issue when it came to the analog sticks in the original Lenovo Legion Go, because to me, I thought they were great, especially with them being Hall effect sticks. I don't have to worry about it like getting stick drift. Now, however, let me put some perimeters around this, and let me quantify that a little bit more. People seem to think that when you have Hall effect sticks versus potentiometer sticks, that you're never gonna get, or when I say potentiometer sticks, I'm saying like traditional analog sticks that you would see on a controller, right? These are typically potentiometers. They have fairly high accuracy, slightly a little bit more than Hall effects, although Hall effects have caught up to having better accuracy nonetheless. And so I never had issues with it. But okay, getting back to my point. Sorry, I lost train of thought. Back to the point. A lot of people think that because you have Hall effects, you're never going to have stick drift. You have a less higher probability of getting stick drift. So probably, I'm gonna throw a number out. Please, all police, don't come after me. Y'all don't want this smoke, and I don't want your smoke either. I don't know where your smoke's been. But you probably have a 1 in 95% chance of getting stick drift with Hall effects on your sticks. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Potentiometer sticks, they wear down with wear and tear and constant usage, so eventually you're going to get stick drift. I've dealt with that with PlayStation 3 controllers, PlayStation 4 controllers, PlayStation 5 controllers, Xbox 360, original Xbox. I've dealt with stick drift many a time, so trust me, I understand. But you have a less likely potentiality of getting that with the Hall effect sticks that are used on the original Lenovo Legion Go and this. So while I never had an issue with the original ones, I don't have an issue with this. I don't know why, they just feel a little bit more snug, ergonomic, if you know what I mean. Like, they feel really good in the hands, so I don't have any issues when it comes to the analog sticks on here. Now, another thing too I want to touch on is the buttons. The face buttons, they do feel mushy in comparison to the original Lenovo Legion Go, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'd say they feel slightly more mushier than what the ROG Ally has. I'm not really gonna say the ROG Ally X because I barely use that enough to really make a mental image of, oh, how did that feel? How did, what are my thoughts on it? I just haven't. But they are slightly, in my opinion, a little bit more mushier than the ROG Ally. And if I were to compare it to the Steam Deck, I would say that they feel better than the Steam Deck. So they're like a middle ground between the original Steam Deck and Steam Deck OLED and the ROG Ally, I guess the ROG Ally X. So it's a good middle ground to be at. Not perfect, but not enough for me to make a complaint about it. I absolutely love it for what it is. All right, now, other thing I want to talk about is the speakers. Now, if you've had a Lenovo Legion Go, you know how absolutely horrible the speakers were on that. They were not good whatsoever. The speakers on this thing are fantastic. They are a smidge not as loud as the ROG Ally, but they are noticeably louder than the original Lenovo Legion Go. And the thing about it too is, with these are front firing, whereas the original Lenovo Legion Go, it was firing down at the bottom, and even then it was very tinny sounding. So, like, honestly, if you're playing handheld and you're in a crowded environment, you're not really going to be able to hear your game. Honestly, I don't even know why you wouldn't just be using some earbuds. Like, shout out to SteelSeries for the Arctis Game Buds. If you want to pick these up, links in the description down below. Highly, highly, highly recommend these. These are my go-tos. But yeah, so with this, if you're playing out in public and you want to crank up that sound so everybody can hear, you want to be the obnoxious asshole, then yeah, everyone can hear what you're playing if you're playing with this. Now, another thing I'm going to touch on is the touchpad. So the original Lenovo Legion Go had a huge touchpad, which was the first mainstream handheld device, because I know there's Neo and all these other, 1X. I'm not talking about those are not mainstream, like a household name like Lenovo, Asus, Alienware, all that. So the original Lenovo Legion Go had a huge trackpad that kind of mirrored a lot of what you could do with the Steam Deck, but only had one versus having two. I personally loved it. Some people felt it was too big. I didn't have that complaint with it, but nonetheless, that's how a lot of people felt. Now, for me personally, with this one being small, of course, this is called the Lenovo Legion Go S. Everything's got to be smaller, and a lot of things had to be cut down. You don't have the 2K screen. You got a 1920 by 1200 screen. You don't have a huge trackpad. You got a mini one. But this one, you might think, oh, that's so small. How am I going to maneuver around? It works. It feels like, think of it like this, kind of like you're moving an analog stick around, but it works. Or if you're familiar with the Lenovo ThinkPad line of laptops, how that little red button feels, that's kind of how this one feels, and it's very, very accurate. And it also allows you to click it in, so if you want to, highlight or confirm or double tap or anything like that, it allows you to do that. I don't have any issues with the size of it. I think it's absolutely perfect. If we go to the top, dual USB-C inputs, 40 gigabit bandwidth on it, so you can charge, you can do data share, video out, connect an external hard drive to it. Whatever you want to do, you can do it with these two ports. Now, the original Lenovo Legion Go was the first mainstream, again, I keep saying mainstream, gaming handheld PC that had dual USB-C ports. Everything else was like one USB-C port. This has two, the original had two, and it was always, to me, a game changer, which I will go on record saying, and I've said this before, but the original Lenovo Legion Go heavily inspired a lot of what you're seeing in the Nintendo Switch 2. Dual USB-C ports, ventilation, and the like. So I love the dual USB-C ports. You got your 3.5 millimeter headphone jack input. So, handheld gaming PCs aren't getting rid of headphones yet. You got your volume up and down. You've got your power button. No issues with that. Your ventilation grill. So like literally, if we go to the back of it, you've got two big ventilation intakes, and then you've got the ventilation outtake on the top. And then another thing you have on the back, let's go ahead and look at the back here. You've got, which I feel to be the most comfortable back paddles that there are. These right here are just so perfectly, just everything about this is so ergonomic. Like I don't feel like I've got to, finagle my hands or fingers in a certain way to hit these buttons and actuate them. Literally, they are right there, and I can actuate them and map them to whatever I need them to be. Now, the other cool thing too is this has the hair trigger lock. So if I want hair trigger, I just slide all the way up to the top, and as you can see, is literally a hair trigger. And I slide it down, is a full depression. I absolutely love that, so depending on what you're playing, for me personally, if I'm playing FPS games, then I typically leave the right trigger to a hair trigger and the other one to a full depression. And that's just kind of how I play it. Now on the bottom, you have your micro SD card slot. So you can use up to, I think the highest micro SD card right now is a 2 terabyte. You can put your external games on it. Now, what I will suggest is if you don't want to utilize all of the 1 terabyte that's on here, then you could easily get a 1 or 2 terabyte or even a 512 gig and store your additional games on it. But I would highly recommend getting the micro SD cards that are made specifically for the Nintendo Switch 2. Well, not made specifically for it, but they have a higher clock, read and write speed. So I would suggest getting those because, you'll have comparable or close enough in parity for the performance that you're looking for, which is what I would say, get those. They're more expensive, but in the long run, if this is going to be your primary device, then this is, that's what I would recommend. Also, another thing, these are Hall effect triggers too, so you're not going to get the same wear and tear that you would with a typical like trigger on a other controller. So all that being said, now we got all those specs out the way. Clearly, as you can see, there's no kickstand on this because it's a slim model, so there is no way to kickstand this like you could with the original one, which, I mean, you got to give some up. It's a slim model. You can't have everything come over. Not a big deal to me. I personally don't find an issue with it. Power button, I kind of wish it had a fingerprint reader on it, but it doesn't have it. It's just got the, the Legion logo on there. It works fine. Now, I got all that stuff out of the way. Let me talk about what I don't like. And I kind of mentioned it at the beginning of the video, but we're going to double back around to it here. I don't like the Windows version of this. And it's just because the performance of this is lesser than the ROG Ally. And obviously the ROG Ally X, and honestly, it's even lesser than the original Lenovo Legion Go. A lot of games do struggle to run on here. Street Fighter 6, I had a lot of issues running it on here, like a lot of stuttering, a lot of choppy frames. And that was even after I did all the compiling of shaders when I first launched the game on it. It just didn't run right. KOF 15, I had no issues running that 1080p. Same thing with City of the Wolves, no issues running at 1080p at 60 frames per second. Both of those ran perfectly fine, looked beautiful, no issues whatsoever. I don't have Tekken on this right here, so I can't really say how Tekken runs, but maybe it runs good, I don't know. Virtua Fighter ran pretty well. Doom Eternal, or Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, and Doom the Dark Ages all ran fine. Like Doom Eternal and Doom 2016 I could run 1080p, 60 frames per second, or if I dropped it down to 720p, 120 or unlocked, I could run it, no issues whatsoever. Doom the Dark Ages, I had to, if I'm going to run it 1080p, I definitely have to run it at a all settings low, but it did run on here. Clear Obscure Expedition 33, no issues running on this whatsoever. And literally everything else I threw at this, I didn't really have much issue other than like what is it, Dead Space Remake, and why can I not think of the name of the game that's basically it but not Dead Space Remake? You guys know what I'm talking about. I can't even think of the name of it. Callisto Protocol, which, I mean, notoriously that game just wasn't that well optimized for PC to begin with, but those games did have some issues running on the Windows version. Now, when it came to performance and everything with the SteamOS version of this, I did not really run into anywhere near as many of the problems. And honestly, I would say, in my personal opinion, as someone who's utilized the Steam Deck and who has utilized the SteamOS version of this, as well as the Windows version of this, this is the best. If you get the SteamOS version, it is the best SteamOS handheld gaming PC that there is. It's better than the Steam Deck. It runs flawlessly. Almost everything you want to run at it, it can handle for the most part. And also because, like, if you think about it, Steam Decks weren't the most powerful thing. This is definitely much more powerful than a Steam Deck, so you're gonna have better opportunities of running games at higher fidelity on the SteamOS version. Granted, there is going to be a more powerful processor version, or graphics card processor, version of this that's going to be coming out down the road, which honestly, whether you're going to get the SteamOS version or the Windows version, I would definitely say wait for one of those. But if you need something right now and you're like, hey, do I get a Steam Deck or do I get MSI Claw? I would say get the SteamOS version of this and you'll be fine. The one thing that the Steam Deck OLED will have over this is battery life. Battery life on Steam Deck OLED is just so optimized and so much where you can play a long time. But if you're anyone that's similar to me, I mean, I'm in my late 30s, family, kids, and all that, a lot of different projects and work that I do, then, an hour or 2 hours of handheld gaming is probably the most you're going to be able to get in anyway. So it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, that's my thoughts and takeaways on the Lenovo Legion Go S. It is a phenomenal device. The Windows version is gimped a little bit. I would definitely suggest waiting for a more powerful processor version of that one. But the SteamOS version, perfectly fine if you're considering that or Steam Deck OLED. Get the SteamOS version of this. But with all that being said, thank you to Lenovo for sending this over to me. Sorry this review took so long. I just really need to put this through its paces, and I didn't want to be one of those people that, oh, I got it, look, let me rush out a review, let me throw all these tech specs and all this other stuff that really doesn't matter. I needed to get past the nonsense and really put it through its paces and play it and use it and find different ways to utilize this device. And so far, I really enjoyed it. But that's my thoughts. If you want to pick this up, it'll be in the description down below, as well as in the first pinned comment on YouTube if you're watching this on YouTube, and also it'll be pinned to the YouTube video if you're watching on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, just check the description. You'll be able to get this right here. But that's my thoughts, and yeah, I want you guys to let me know what you think. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay safe, be blessed, have aloha, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out, and we hope.